parent that says, oh my God, my kid has got, I don't think it was an iPad, at home, and now I'm going to have them do the notes section.
Well, it's when they got home from school they were doing that, so if they can do that while they're at school and putting their assignments in, I'm going to take advantage of that opportunity.
But this is not. It absolutely is not. Okay, boys and girls, take out your device.
No.
Oh, Matthew, you don't have a device.
No.
Your mother must not have asked the superintendent what she should have.
Right.
So that's not what this
No.
is. This is sort of like making, and I know it's hard to understand because schools don't usually behave like this. We're saying to you, you make a decision, yes or no. If you say, no, my kid's not bringing it, that's your decision. We support that. And then how is the youngster going to use it? If you already own it, how is the youngster using it at home? And think about how the youngster would then use that in school. That's where we are right now. It's no more complex than that. It's not like we're going to say, we would like every device that the youngster brings to school to be Microsoft Office 7 compliant or 210 compliant. We're going to do stuff, and we're going to do it in the docx format. That's not where we're going with that. In some cases, it's organizational. I can see the browser function being an important function. If we talk about youngsters being engaged in 21st century learning, where we're presenting them with perplexing problems and they are researching those problems, I can see the youngster going, okay, what would have happened? Here's the perplexing problem in social studies. What would have happened if the South won the Civil War? What would have happened if the South won the Civil War? I can see a youngster going, what the heck's the Civil War? And taking out the browser and start to research and get some information on the Civil War.
Wouldn't you do that as a class, though, instead of on your individual device here?
No, because you know what? My kid knows what the Civil War is. We've been to Gettysburg, and they've seen it, they've touched it, and they've felt it. Other kids don't know what the Civil War is. So I don't want my kid held back because there are other kids that don't have that understanding. I want my kid to pick up from where he is and move forward. That goes hand in hand with what Matt was talking about in terms of a personalized education for every youngster. I don't think the most effective thing that we can do is put 25 kids in the classroom and give all 25 kids the same thing at the same time at the same pace. That might be a different conversation than can you bring your own device to school.
Are the children going to have to ask permission to actually use the device, or are they, I'm still having a hard time sort of envisioning, and I do like the idea of the program, but I'm wondering, is my child supposed to sit there and go, Mrs. So-and-so, can I use my iPod Touch to look this up, or do they just take it out and do it on their own?
And do you know if that's what they're doing, or are they texting?
Well, okay, there's two questions there. And then I have to leave, my phone is ringing, so I have to get out of here.
We're all trying to fight back before quite a long time.
The what?
We've been talking quite a long time, and a lot of us have questions.
I thought I was answering the questions that were asking.
At length, saying the same things.
I'm sorry. The question, your question, if I understand the question correctly, is yes, teachers will have the authority to shut them down. They may say, okay, boys and girls, digital devices away. It may be a distraction. And the question over here was?
Do they just take them out, or do they have to ask permission?
Oh, no, that's
Are they texting or?
Oh, the texting. The texting, if you looked at the agreement that you're going to enter into, texting would be a violation of that agreement. If they're texting over the 3G network.
If they're using a 3G or a 4G, it would violate, that policy. One of the nice things is here at the college school, they don't get any cell
Well,
service.
Yeah, if you've got a phone
But,
with you, see if you're
you
getting
know.
4G reception or 3G reception.
But, you know, the reality is, yeah, a lot of the devices have 3 or 4G. If they're using that, it violates it, and then people ask the question, well, how do you know if they're using the 3 or 4G? Well, if they have the network that's plugged in there by default, that network will come on when they're on campus, you know, and our teacher's gonna walk around and police that the same as they do now. You know, if a kid has a device out and they're sitting there, which I often do see if I walk by a classroom, these kids have these, believe it or not, and you know, they'll text in class. I had a kid walk by the office, 2 kids, and he said, hey, did you get my text message? I was sending it to you all class. And it's like, I thought we had a no cell phone policy. You know, it's like we're gonna try to take advantage of using these in a purposeful way. So, we had, there's a lot of hands.
I don't think we answered the question about whether the children would have to ask permission or whether they would just take it out.
And I think the answer is it will be both.
Right.
That we don't envision the teacher going, okay, boys and girls, you can take it out now or not take it out. But we do envision there may be times when teachers don't want that distraction, or they want the digital devices put away, and we'll instruct the youngsters to do so.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like if they're taking a test, and you know, my question as a teacher would be, you know, if they're taking a test and they're able to use a device and find it's like, what type of test is it? You know, if we're talking about a traditional test where the teacher's just handing everyone out a piece of paper and it's the same test to all 25 kids, I think the bigger question is, why are we doing that? You know, I think we have to dig a little bit deeper. Why is everyone taking the same exact test at the same time, all 25 kids? Does that mean they're all in the same place when they're learning? You know, most likely the answer is no.
I have a 2nd grader and 2 5th graders, so I'm dealing with 3 different teachers basically. So my question is, what direction has been given to the teachers? You know, I know some teachers are very comfortable with technologies.
Sure.
There are others who are not. I've already heard that from them.
Sure.
How do I know that my 2nd grader's not going to come home and say, I can't use it, my teacher doesn't get it, she doesn't allow us to use it all day, and then one of my 5th graders does and one doesn't. What kind of direction were the teachers given, that this is a pilot, you must do this, this, and this, nothing?
I think, again, your example, it looks different in each building. I think, yes, teachers are on all different places in their comfort level. The reality is it's the 21st century. Tools like this are not going away. And so I think all of us are sort of in that place where we need to get caught up pretty quickly here. Not saying we're going to try to know as much as the kids do about technology. There's things that I'm sure my 3.5-year-old, when he enters school, is going to be much further along than I was when I first started. And this was my job, and I was trained in how to do it. That's why I say I go to 8th graders sometimes who understand the complexity of computer networking. And I say, how do they understand this? You know, I had to go to school and take course after course, and yet I have kids who can create web pages, they can do these things. It's part of the world that they live in. So I think teachers are getting themselves caught up. The reality is there's no handbook that we're giving teachers that says, this is how you do it. It's part of teaching in the 21st century.
I have a question.
Yep.
Out of curiosity, just to provide appropriate feedback to the school with methodical feedback, what advice would you give parents in regards to what they should be monitoring to provide the best feedback possible to you?
Yep.
And then another part to that would be, how are you going to weight the surveys between teacher, parent, and student?
Yeah.
I hope the students will be weighted lower than the parents and the teachers, but I'd be interested to understand that.
Yeah, I would say, let me start at the last part of your question, because I have the opposite opinion of that. I would say that the students' input is going to be very valuable. We're going to learn things about the way these tools are used in the classroom that I can't even think of right now, and I can't tell you. And that's 21st century learning, is that we're learning along with our students. So they're going to use them in ways, I don't know. And they're going to teach us things about what they can do on these devices. And they're going to teach us things that are part of their world. So I think it opens up that conversation and that co-learning in the classroom. So I would say that I would bump their opinion up even a little bit higher probably than the others. Maybe not higher than the parents, but I think the student's opinion is going to be a huge part of the survey and feedback, because we're going to learn a lot from them.
I'm just thinking as a parent,
Mhm.
I mean, when the rubber hits the road,
Right.
I'm gonna be looking at grades. So the question is, after a year, which I can see, given a year without a problem.
Right.
Is at the end saying, what was the impact? And,
Right.
you know, and it's
Yep.
negative impact, and if it changes,
Sure.
if it's status quo, I don't see any harm.
Right.
If there's improvement, then I'd like to make sure that, but I'd like to understand what we need to provide in that feedback, and
Right.
which would be helpful to you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know if we don't have anything yet that we've said, these are gonna be the questions, the forms, and so I don't have an answer to that right now. But it is a good question, I think it's something that we wanna have on our radar.